build those years. Welcome to the Scizone tonight. We'll be around here for the next hour or so talking about some things that are going on with you and with your money and my money and everybody else's. I want to thank all of you for tuning in on WKRP-TV and WKRP-TV. Boy, we have come a long way, baby. Is Miss Lolly Anderson, is she not, she's not out in the lobby, is she? Could I see her? Anyway, if she comes in, would somebody please send her in here? I'd love to see Miss Lonnie. I don't think Bert would care anymore. Well, anyway, my whole deal is simply this tonight. I took a lot of email from those of you, and thank you for them. I appreciate your opinions. They're kind, and they're noteworthy. To those of you who think that I am completely crazy, wait till you hear tonight. Last week I said we ought not give any of the car manufacturers or any of those other people any money at all. And this week I'm more convinced than ever because I think they're going about it in the wrong way. Now, I know have got an opinion about this because most of you told me in my email. I've been called everything in this email here. Anyway, what I want you to do tonight is suspend judgment. Just hang on to yourself, and you can call in. I want you to call in. I want to hear from you. Outside tonight in our economy, I don't know if anybody's told you or not, but this is a depression, not recession. This is depression. And it's been caused by 40 years of monetarism, inspired and deregulated, something that I've known about for years. The derivatives that are in the market today are the cause of all of this. And they were illegal in 1936, from 1936 until Ronald Reagan, old silver hair, Ronald Reagan legalized them in 1982 when Wendy Graham, Greenspan, Bob Rubin, Larry Summers teamed up to start a derivative bubble. And during the Clinton years, now there's 1.5 quadrillion dollars in derivatives. This is what's taking down Europe. This is what's taking down the banks here. Nobody wants to talk about it in your evening news and the Wall Street. Nobody's, and the talking heads all over the world. Nobody wants to talk about this because nobody knows what the hell to do with them. And they've said, well, if we could just buy enough of them off the market so that we won't have them, why not leave them alone? Well, our books won't be. No, your books will be the same. You'll still have them. But don't sell them to me and to the rest of the people out there. Hang on to them. Hell, they might come in. Remember those junk bonds? Welcome to the derivative junk. Not subprime mortgages. The derivatives and not the subprime mortgages are the reason for today's crisis. Today's depression is also caused from privatizing the privatization of Fannie Mae, which worked fine for 30 years as a government agency, but then it was privatized, opening the door for the looting. And one of my guests, Catherine Austin Fitts, found it, took it in under Bush, and she was fired for finding it. A $59 million or billion deal. The oil market is deregulated, and Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley were quick to exploit the situation this past summer. And when you were paying $4 for a gallon of gas, more than half of that was going directly to Wall Street's hedge funds. Yeah. with a full dollar per gallon for Goldman Sachs and Morgan alone, and the backers of the deregulated offshore ICE exchange. Now, that's what I told you about several weeks ago, something called dark traders. Now, dark traders are in Europe, and they will drive the price of oil back to $150 a barrel very shortly. Oh, what does that mean for us? Oh, we got from now probably till through Christmas, and then it'll start escalating back up. The real economy and the progress of Wall Street bankers and financiers and the oracles are crying out. If you let them control the government, the results are catastrophic. We've got to fight the takeover and the handout to the banks and other strategic surrendering that Obama and his fascist corporate state is going to try to cause. Last week I said, if you gave everybody $100,000, you wouldn't even, here's what has to be done. You've got to build jobs. You've got to create jobs. You can't just give people money. They'll go out and spend it, which would be great. And then everybody would be back in business. But you've got to look at this a lot different. What would people do with it? First off, you wouldn't have to give any money to the banks. Because what are you going to do with $100,000? You're going to put it in the bank. Hence, they become solvent right now. Don't worry about it. They don't need the money. Do you realize that none of the money that is out there right now has given you or anybody you know a home? Do you know anybody that's got a home loan as of in the last 2 or 3 weeks? Oh, yeah, I'm a real estate agent. I know some people. Good. I'm talking about John Q. Public out there walking around trying to buy a house and can't get a car. Oh, we're growing hybrids. We're going to make hybrid automobile. I defy you to go out and buy one. We got to take a break. I'm Bill Boshier. See, you've already got me started. And I'll comb my hair and throw some water in my face and try to calm down. You can go out to the kitchen and get one of those cold things, and maybe not too cold, but stick around. The number 513-381-3838. I'll be right back after this with your phone calls and some more. I'm not done with you yet. We're going to learn some more. Back with you in the Scizone, WKRP-TV. Thank you for joining me. By the way, they just had a changing of the call letters, and that is the real call letters, WKRP. I'm kind of glad to have it. What I said last week, and we'll get to Gilby and Jim and Mike and all the rest of it in just a minute. I wanted to give everybody in America $100,000. One guy called up last week and told me, yeah, but our taxes will go up. Well, don't take it. If you're afraid your taxes will go up, just don't take it. I'm not in favor of giving it to everybody. People who have a house have some responsibility, moving around, guidelines. And I got to counting. Do you realize if we stopped the war in Iraq and brought that money in, do you know what would happen? We could give every citizen an $800 rebate or a $1,000 rebate for the next decade. Think about that for a minute. Oh, but we don't have any money for health insurance. The hell we don't. Why not? Well, Bill, you're not rational. You're just completely out of touch with reality. Wait, no, the guys who are saying that are the banksters. The guy's at the bank. Have you got a loan? You know anybody has? You know anybody that's bought a car and got one of those hybrids? We're building them. Yeah, try and buy one. Good point. Anybody buy a hybrid? Anybody? Anybody got a car run on anything other than just plain gas? Oh yeah, I know. They're building one over in Indiana that will run on propane. Natural gas. I don't know. Maybe you have to drill an oil or a gas well in your backyard. I don't know how that works. The best thing we could do is do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because we never had the damn money in the first place. They're putting this on the same credit card, that George Bush did. And you notice you never hear anything out of George anymore. He's ready to get out of Dodge. He wants Obama to have this. He wants to give it all to him. This has been a waste of money, a waste of trust, and a waste of lives. If you are as appalled as I am, you need to do something. Well, Bill, I'm just out here by myself. What can I do? Well, Gilby's there. I don't know if I can hear Gilby or not, but I hope I can. Gilby, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir.
I've got Gilby. Go right ahead, sir.
Great show as always, Bill.
Thank you.
This economic rescue plan that Obama's trying to put together, his cabinet or whoever the hell is putting it, this is bigger than the Wall Street bailout itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
By the way, he's got a lot of things I really don't like already about him that I hear he's working toward. One is the ammunition for guns.
Yeah.
He wants to take your ammunition away from you.
I know about that already, but he's trying to put some of this stuff in the economic stimulus, like nationalized health care, where you pay for illegal aliens welfare and that stuff. And nobody wants to talk about this.
Gilby, I'm not sure that our country can handle more illegals. Illegal aliens or just aliens. I think we ought to stop everything.
We can't handle the ones we got.
And stop mollycoddling people who come here and they want to practice their religions here, and we have to put up with it. Oh, Bill, you can't say that. You just can't. I can just see the email I'm going to get. Well, you know what? I didn't ask him to come. And what's wrong with my opinion? You're entitled to it, as I am to yours. I just don't need them. Oh, and they had a bombing in India. See, they get your mind off of it by giving you this great big news flash from somewhere else, and they don't tell you the truth that we could give every human being in this country $1,000 a year for the next decade. And that's just from what was going into Iraq. Bring that back.
Bill, the Republicans are going on about Sarah Palin and how she's going to do this and that in 2012. And Bill, let me ask you something. What did you hear out of Sarah Palin about the illegal aliens crossing the border and the Wall Street bailout? She didn't say nothing about that.
Didn't say anything about it. She didn't know anything about it. Hell, she never reads the newspaper. What the hell do you expect?
The same old thing that you had now is what you're going to have in 2012. And
that sounds familiar. And I'm telling you, it is not going to get any easier. This country's in a world of hurt. And if you and I and the rest of the people listening don't do something about it, I don't know what in God's name is going to happen.
Vote independent is all I can tell you. Jesse Ventura is trying to put together a campaign for 2012. I don't think, with this election we just had, I don't think the idiots that just voted for Obama is going to have enough brains to vote for an independent anyway.
Well, if everybody did what Obama did and got the people of the rest of the world to send them $25 on a credit card or some other thing and cheat to get in, that would be all right. Oh, it's not cheating, Bill. He just raised the money. You're just mad because you didn't get your man in. I don't care about the man. He cannot handle what he's gotten himself into. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes for any stretch of the imagination.
I would. I know exactly what to do, Bill. I'd shut the border down right now. I'd shut it down. I'd shut it down and go back to the gold standard. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff I'd like to do.
Well, I would stop. I would certainly look. Oh, by the way, they want to give our allegiance over to the UN and let the UN do all our negotiation with the World Trade Organization now. Somebody had sent me that. That's just what we need. Gilby, I appreciate your call. Thank you, sir.
All right.
There's a line open, 513-381-3838. Jump in. Let's go to Jim. Jim, you're there, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm over here, Bill.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
I just want to make a comment about years ago. Remember Jimmy Carter? One day he came along on the TV. He was so mad. He was warning people not to use credit cards. And then, you remember that, don't you? And then lately, these refinances on the homes.
Yeah.
And it was going like crazy. And I knew it was wrong because you're putting yourself in more debt. And people didn't give a damn about it. Just take the goddamn money and go through with another closing and all those fees. And this is what happened. I mean, what I'm saying is the problem is the government, not the people, not the presidents. The government, the people, the big shots, the big club.
What I am really against is that we have no oversight to any of this money we're giving away.
Oh no, that's a waste. It's going to be waste.
And you and I will have to pay for it, but so will our great grandchildren. Will be in debt to these guys. For what? Because they don't want to lose money? I don't care if they do lose money. I'll tell you what you can do. If you don't bring jobs back into this country, you might as well just turn out the lights and lock the door because it's all over. Anyway, I appreciate the call, Jim. Thank you, sir. Let's go to Michael. Go ahead.
Hi. I wanted to cover a couple things that you've been talking about here. One on the corporate handouts, especially to the car companies. They've been misrunning their companies for decades upon decades. And then all of a sudden they see money, there's corporate handouts going to Wall Street.
Isn't that funny how that all came about real quick?
Well, sure, all of a sudden they popped up like, we want our share too, and then they're flying in their private corporate jets. But where are these other car companies like Toyota and Honda, BMW, that have plants in the southern states that aren't completely controlled by unions, where people aren't asking for $40 an hour? These guys aren't begging for a corporate handout, are they?
You got a point.
This war in Iraq. Obama runs, he says, I'm going to stop the war in Iraq. But now what he's saying he wants to do is move the war from Iraq to Afghanistan. Didn't we learn anything from what the Russians did in Afghanistan in the 80s? If people want to say Iraq is another Vietnam, Afghanistan's going to be worse. And the only reason I can think of for us to be in Afghanistan is because it's the world's largest producer of opium and heroin and those kind of things.
Now you've hit upon the real key for why we're there. The Congress and Senate need their drugs and the drug money for other operations. I got to go. I'm up against a break, but I appreciate your call there, Michael. Thank you, sir. Let's take a pause in the action and come right back to the Scizone. I'm Bill Boshiers. Don't go away. 5-1, there's a line open. 513-381-3838. Call me. Let's talk. Scizone with Bill Boshiers, WKRP-TV. Thank you for joining me tonight. Back to the phone lines. People have been standing by for a few minutes. There are some things that you need to know. Why is this so important? Why am I ranting about this? Let me give you why. There's little, if any, due diligence in advance of the giveaway to public money. Watch it. C-SPAN don't care. They'll say, well, we don't know what. We just plucked it right out of the air. No independent audits of private companies getting the public money. No appraisals of private assets. I defy you to go down and get a loan with this. Can you imagine walking into any bank and saying to them, well, I have a company, but I don't want to show you my books. I can't show you that. Hey, you know what they tell you to do? Oh, man, don't get me. Let's go to Don. Don, you're on the air. I think I can hear you. Go ahead.
I say good evening, Bill. Always a pleasure, my friend.
It's a pleasure to have you, sir. Go right ahead.
Let me go back and talk. I talked to you one night and told you about my father who had passed on, a very wise older man in worldly ways.
Yes.
And he
go
was
ahead.
talking about the last depression, and he said it was a bad one, a lot worse than people had really put on.
Yeah.
And he always said there would be another one. Well, guess what? You said it. I've said it. Many others have. We're in it now. But he said things changed, not, just back in the 60s and 70s. He went back just prior to FDR himself and said that's when the things started happening. A lot of little laws got changed, and he said, I've noticed over the years, every president seems like they have an agenda that succeeds the previous
Absolutely.
agenda.
It didn't happen all of a sudden.
Right.
It's been a gradual happening. They really got hot after they assassinated Kennedy.
Exactly.
And they just, well, we'll do it now. And they just started ramrodding it through.
Yeah.
And when this Reagan, he literally, something that was outlawed for a reason, he said, well, this is a great idea.
And he
Let's
had
do
also
this.
a great free hand, spending-wise, militarily-wise,
Well, it's a great way to raise money and make an ass out of yourself.
Sure, exactly.
And he did that.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, the banks are begging for money. Why don't they do us people a favor? The ones who need a home right now, why don't they just forgive the loans?
Well, either that or give them $100,000. It'll
Either
go
one.
to the bank. They'll become solvent, and they pay it on their loan.
Thank you.
Now
I
you're
guess that's
spending
too
the
hard to-
money back into. See, what people don't understand, this fractional system we got, if they've got $100,000, they can borrow 10 to 1 on it, or
Yep.
some ridiculous number like that, from the government.
Yep.
Now, that's my money you're giving to me anyway. Think of it as a rebate. The rebate I didn't spend in Iraq. How's that?
Yep.
I
Well,
don't
it's like
need to go to Iraq.
My dad always said, the bigger the jackass, the harder it is to move.
That's a fact, Jack. I appreciate it, Don. Thank you, sir. Let's go to Joe. Joe, you're on the air.
Yeah, Bill, I think our government is about broke, man, and I don't know how Obama's going to pull us out of the economy that we're in right now.
I don't see how.
And last week you say that Obama was real good, but this week you say he bad this week, last week he good, and the week before you say Mr. Bush get that stuff out of the cake and the Iranian stuff. I don't agree with you what you said last week, but this week I agree with you. Obama is bad. He's just another politician. His skin color may be what mine is, but he is just a politician.
Listen, forget the skin color. You people run around out there making this a racial issue. I'm not.
No,
I
I'm
want
not
a
making it racial.
qualified-
I'm saying he know better than any white politician. He is the same crooked thing as any skin color.
I have to agree with you. And if he's not, he soon will be.
Yes, exactly.
I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks a bunch. I love that. See, you people got it. You're nobody's going to lead you around by the nose. Steve, you're on the air, sir. Steve,
Yeah.
you're on the air.
Can you hear me?
Sure, I can hear you.
All right. I just want to say, how come you guys can say all this about Obama like he's such a bad president? What about Bush? Like he hasn't messed up. Like you give Obama, you say he's going to mess everything up, and he's such.
Nobody's saying anything bad about him. He
Well,
just
you
hasn't
could
done
say he's
anything.
messed up the economy
What do you
and all
want him
this.
to
He
do?
can't handle what he's in. Like George Bush didn't handle it too well at all, if you ask me. Look at the situation we're in. You know.
Let me help you a little bit. George Bush, without a doubt, is the worst president this country has
I
ever had.
completely agree.
Now, about Obama, the jury's still out. We don't even know if he's going to be president yet or not. But hey, what am I? Hey, I'm not carrying a bearer of bad news. You're just going to have to read and weep. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I firmly agree that George Bush is the worst president, but I firmly believe that Obama will be the best president since Kennedy. He's going to fix this country. He's the best chance we got. Surely Cheney is not. You know, he'd just be another Bush.
I they're telling me I got to go to break. I appreciate the call. Steve, thanks a bunch. I appreciate it. Let's take a pause in the action right here. Bill Boshiers in the Scizone, WKRP. The number, by the way, there's a line open, 513-381-3838. Jump in. Want to hear from you. This is your show. I have in my hot hands here what I think will solve the problem. How to end the Depression and return to the American system is simply this. Wipe out all the derivatives, just null and void, get rid of them. Destroy the largest mass of fictitious capital the world has ever known, and include credit default swaps, mortgage-backed securities, secured investment vehicles, collateralized debt obligation, and repo agreement, and other toxic paper. You need to outlaw hedge funds. There's no oversight to them anyway. Outlaw adjustable rate mortgage. Stop all foreclosures right now. Just stop them. Seize bankrupt banks, brokerages, and insurance company, and put them through a debt thing just like you would go through. Under Chapter 11, the bankruptcy proceedings, reestablish up-ticket rule against short sellers and stop speculating with the position limits and margins requirement for oil and other energy markets, and stop exporting jobs to third world sweatshops under that phony NAFTA and GATT and the World Trade Organization. Just eliminate them. If I were president, that would be the first thing I'd do. Oh, Bill, you shouldn't say that. You really don't understand economics. Oh, yes, I do. I happen to probably understand a little better than most of the people that's up there right now talking about it. You see, most of the people that we elected or tried to elect never had a job. I don't know how anybody travels all over the world without a job. Somebody picked up the bill for the education and everything else, but I won't go there because I'm just the bearer of it. Let's go to Alan. You're on the air, sir. Go ahead.
Wondering, they're talking about all this big bailout and everything.
Alan?
Telling people now, oh, we're going to free up the banks for you to go borrow more money. Isn't the people borrowing money what started the problem to start out with?
I came in on part of what you were saying. Say it again, sir.
I'm sorry. The new plan that they put forth is giving the banks money to loan to the people. Aren't the people far enough in debt as it is?
I would think so. That's why I said spend it in by giving it to the people. They can put it in and do whatever they need to do with it.
Well, I would recommend that if they're going to give away billions of dollars, why not give every American citizen over 18 $1 million and the economy be fixed tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine the number of Escalades, Cadillacs, and Escalades that be sold?
Yeah,
how many cars it would, Ford, Chrysler, everybody would have be selling cars.
It'd be great for the economy, wouldn't it?
And then make it mandatory to stop automobile production until you get a car that will get 75 to 80 miles to 100 miles to a gallon of gas, or don't come back on the market. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it. Alan, I appreciate the call, sir.
All right,
Thank
buddy.
you.
Bye-bye.
Let's go to John. You're out there, sir. Go ahead.
I appreciate the call, sir. All right, buddy.
Hello.
Let's go to John. You're out there, so go ahead.
John, I can't.
Oh, it's me.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead,
Hello?
sir. Don't listen to your television. Talk to
I'm
me.
trying to mute it as we speak.
All right, go ahead.
All right, there we go. They were talking about, the illegals coming into this country.
Yeah?
And they didn't do anything about it because there were so many millions or whatever of them in here. Now, they knew it was a crime when they got here. So they should still ship them out, whether it's a million or not. And they were also talking about something about them doing jobs that other people won't do.
Well, who the hell do you think were doing it before the illegals got here? I mean, people from Mars?
No.
Americans were doing those jobs.
Exactly.
Americans want to be paid for it.
But the problem is they're not shipping them out. You know, they're not doing anything about the problem because there's so many of them around, you know, so many here. You know, they should still, you know, deport these people when they find them. But they're not.
They're not looking real hard.
No, so they're not.
They're not.
I do have a statement I want to make to you, though, or a question posed to you. And that is, you know, when Obama came in, you know, first of all, you know, you hit it right on the nose, you know, right on the nail on the head, whatever, when you said something to the extent of his background, you know, who's paying for all his trips and you know, paying for everything that he's got.
There's so many unanswered questions by this
exactly.
candidate.
But look who he's surrounding himself with. All of Clinton's misfits.
It's just like George Bush did. It's the same old, same old.
Exactly.
There's not a nickel's worth of difference.
That's it.
I don't care if he's green. That has nothing to do with it. There is not a nickel's worth of difference in him. You say, well, he can surround himself with people. Who? He's got the same group that Clinton had. He's got the same running people. Same deal. And what do you think he's going to do? Do you think they went out and suddenly got a whole new approach to life? These damn neocons has got us in this. And he's got his own. I don't need him. I don't need this guy. I don't need any part of this. If that's the best the Democrats can do, thank you. If that's the best the Republicans can do with that, and that woman, forget that too. I'm into independence, and I want independence now. I'm tired of being led around and pornified by the government every chance they get. I appreciate the call.
And that's why I watch your show.
I appreciate it, John.
You tell the truth and you get it out there.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
John, the only difference between me and most talk show hosts, I'll tell you the things other people are thinking, not what they're saying. Do we need to take a break now, or is that something you want to do? Let's do that since I got somebody in here talking to me for once there. I heard that. Let's take a pause and you can come right back. Telephone lines are busy. Don't go away. This is about ready to pop tonight. Right here in the Scizone. Back in the Scizone, Bill Boshears, WKRP-TV. Listen to me. The next time somebody tells you what a great idea that Ronald Reagan was, just ask them a question. Was that before or after you're talking about his greatness that the derivatives from that point on, are you aware that he gave us derivatives? Yeah, great Republican. Yeah, good idea. Let's go back to the phones. Jody, you're on the air.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can. Go right ahead.
Well, the thing I'm just worried about is, like, you know, the American automotive industry, back in World War II, we were able to retool the industry so that we can make airplanes and tanks. But if we let the American auto industry go belly up, what if we get into a war? The Japanese auto industry will not help us save our own butts. So I think all this money we're spending on the banks and the lenders of money, we should be spending a lot of it on our own auto industry because we need the American auto industry to make America safe if we were to ever go into another war, a world war type situation. And for us to bend over backwards for these bankers and lenders makes me sick because they're the ones, you're supposed to say no to people sometimes when they're asking for a loan. It's their damn fault they got this whole country in a mess, and then we're sitting there throwing money at them, and then we don't even care that the American auto industry could end up just falling apart.
Exactly. It's their fault. They got into it. If they kept up with technology, particularly the automobile industry, the way the computer industry has, you'd have a car like a Rolls Royce that get 500,000 miles to a gallon of gas and be charged something else. Anyway, they've never kept up. They're antiquated. Do you realize they're still using a combustion engine?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying if we got all these Jap auto plants in America, but if we were to go into like a World War III, do you think we could knock on their door and say, hey, will you retool your machines so that we can build American tanks and airplanes? I don't think they're going to do that for us.
I don't think they do that, but I would sincerely suggest to you this. I think it's high time we close and stop sending jobs abroad.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Start building cars here, start building things that people want, and build a house that somebody can afford. For God's sakes, you builders are to be smart enough to know that if you can build a 2,000 square foot home for $35,000, $40,000 and sell it for $35,000, $40,000, $60,000, $70,000, somebody can pay for.
Yeah.
I look at homes right now all over the country. Well, this is a bad market, and it's only $340,000.
Who the hell can afford a $400,000 house?
Yeah, who in the hell can afford that?
Yeah. Now, the thing about that shipping jobs overseas, it's like, I forget what it was. I was calling some company, and, you call a number to get some help, and the person was in India. I mean, and they couldn't even understand me. I could barely understand them, and it was, something to do with credit cards of all things.
Oh, Jesus,
and they couldn't understand a word I was saying. I couldn't understand them, and I even asked them, and they told me where they were. I thought, this is insane.
It is that. Thank you for calling. I appreciate the call. Don't go away. Stick around.
All right.
Let's go to Jan. Jan, you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead. You're on the air. Jan?
Yes?
Talk to me.
Well, I have one question. Okay. When are they going to bring our gas back down to where a person can afford to go anywhere?
What was it? What was it?
The gas, when are they going to bring it down enough to where a person can go anywhere?
Never.
That's what I figured. Right now, I live in Dearborn County, where, and my kids and my grandkids live in Jackson County.
Okay.
When you only make $6 and something an hour, how are you supposed to afford gas to go anywhere?
That's not their problem. You're supposed to work smarter, work harder, get another job if you can find one, and pay all the taxes you can, and live for somebody and give somebody else a job, and do all of that, and you're supposed to survive.
Well, that's easier said than done.
You bet your sweet bippy it is. And my dear, my heart goes out to you and the millions of other people just like you that are standing around going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Let me tell you what you do. Tell them. Call them. Bitch in their ear. If I can't go, you ain't going. The Democrats got together. This is something that many of you will really appreciate. The Democrats got together last week and decided that they were going to pass a law. Yeah, get this. They're going to build a law in that they're looking at this real close. They want you, with your 401k and your IRA, to put that into a government fund. Oh, boy.
Oh, how can you do that if you ain't even got either one?
Again, you're putting the cart before the horse here, dear. I'm just trying to tell you that's some of the crap that they've already decided to do. And here's the other part. I'd be all for that if the Senate and the Congress put their retirement in the pot too. See, they draw out of a different pot. They get different medical care. See, I think everybody ought to be equal. We ought to be able to go to a medical should be any problem, but they got their own. You can't get to it. Jan, I appreciate your call. Take you. You're a fine American. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I think.
Let's go to Jake. I'm sorry. Jake, you're there, sir.
Hey, Bill. Hey, I just wanted to say, first of all, I really love your show. There's like nothing like this in Louisville where I go to school.
There's nothing like this anywhere. Let me tell you why. We're the only live call-in talk show in America that's got anybody saying anything that people want to comment on. You've got talking heads talking about everything, but none of them have said a damn thing that makes sense that somebody didn't tell them to say. I'm listening to you. You're what drives the show. This show's all about you, not me.
Well, thanks, Bill. Anyway. A couple weeks ago, I haven't been caught up because I've been in Louisville. I saw some pretty disturbing stuff about John McCain, George Bush, and Sarah Palin and stuff that really inspired me to get going, do my information. So I was researching at the Library of Congress. I requested some documents, and I actually found out that Barack Obama is actually the one that's half werewolf.
I couldn't hear you. I know you had it going there, but I couldn't hear you. Go ahead. Say it again. All right. I can't, I couldn't hear him. I just lost him altogether. Jake and I apologize, sir. We'll take a pause in the action and come right back with more of the Zone and your phone call right here. We got a few minutes left here. I'm going to try to get to Robin and Kenny and Frank and as many people as I can. Anyway, before we get out too far along, thank you for joining me tonight. Robin, you're on the air with me. Go ahead. Hello, Robin.
Tell you, you are the best thing going on Saturday night. You need to be on for at least 2 hours, honey.
You want me to do what?
You need to be on for at least 2 hours.
Okay.
You know, we've got a lot to say. You've got a lot to say, and I'll tell you, that's really good.
I'll tell you what you do. Call Mr. Elliot Block and tell him
Okay, I will. I talked with him yesterday. I'll be glad to do that. You know, last week I called in, and I was telling you that I don't look for conspiracies behind every bush, right? But one thing you've not mentioned tonight is that it's not just us going through this.
Oh, no.
United States. The whole world is going through it.
The world's going through this. They're going to lay off. The British car industry right now is pleading for help, and they're looking at something around laying 35, 40,000 people off, just like they're trying to do here. And it's not just us. These derivatives that Ronald Reagan created for you have taken this world to its knees.
That's right.
They're going to lay off 25% of their workers, as I'm told here. 15,000 workers. Jaguar Land Rover, which employs about 15,000 workers, has said it wants a $1 billion loan to help it cope with unprecedented trading conditions.
Right.
Now, what the hell is that?
Right.
Now, that'll be all right if England wants to give it to it. I don't want to give it to England to give to Land Rover. That's where it's going.
That's right.
The banks have bought derivatives. That's why they're collapsing.
You know, we've talked about the greed of the bankers and how they've given out loans where they shouldn't have.
Yes.
But as I think Jody mentioned earlier, with the car makers, their greed too with not wanting to reinvest in their companies and look to the future, what the customers needed and what the world needed. They've just sat back on their butts, not wanting to make any changes, just raking in the money, and then we've come to this.
By the way, General Motors to invest, I got this out of Latin America, General Motors to invest $1 billion in its Brazilian operation. Money to come from U.S. rescue program.
Of course.
This rescue bailout has doubled in the past week. It is now, the bailout now, that little drum roll there, is $8.5 trillion. It was $700 billion, and now it's another $8 trillion.
We're Mr. Moneybags for the whole world.
I don't know.
We're tired of it.
I don't think we ought to turn this loose. I think this is something that everybody ought to jump in on. China, by the way, is going to pump billions into its economy. The reason I look at these, they own the debt that we got. China does. China bought all that junk bonds and all that junk derivatives, and they're going, you're going to pay for this, huh? Yeah.
Plus all of the companies that they've bought into. They bought a major interest into Visa when Visa went public.
Oh, Visa and MasterCard, they're now working with the Iraqi banks to give all the people in the Middle East credit cards. Welcome to capitalism, my Muslim friends.
See how well it works?
I love it. I appreciate it. Robin, thank you for being there.
Thank you, Bill.
Let's go back to it. Kenny, you're on the air with me. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm over here in Covington, Kentucky. I'd like to hear your opinion on legalizing drugs.
Legalizing drugs?
Yeah.
Why would I want to comment on legalizing drugs? Do I think it's a great idea?
We got a drug problem.
Do you think legalizing drugs would eliminate the problem?
Well, it would help it and legalize industrial hemp.
By the way, let me ask you this, Kenny. Have you taken any drugs today?
Well, certainly.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate the call, sir. Thank you. Legalize drugs? Hell no. I think we ought to pay for the health issues. Just like we legalize cigarettes. Now we're paying for the, the health issues. People dying, we have to cover their death. That's a shame. It's going to get worse, boys and girls. It's not going to get better. I hate to tell you this. Some of you out there right now have already started changing the way you buy groceries. You have started buying staples and housing, and that's a good idea. I think we're looking at some very, very hard times ahead of us. John, you're on the air with me. Go ahead.
I'm the guy that tapes this show. I'm the guy that tapes you every week, and
okay.
Oh,
you did what, sir?
We talk about it. We talk every week, and you talk every week about a lot of things, and you fill us in. But we people out here, we need to get organized so we can get some of these things that we talk about.
That's why I have the
done.
show. Tell your friends about the show, to ask them to join me here every week, John. I'll make you in charge of that. I appreciate your that's a good point, John. They got to get organized. Thank you, sir. Which ain't a bad idea. You people are going to start buying, as I said, you're going to start buying your groceries different. Some of you people that don't know how to cook will learn how to make bread. You probably will learn how to cook from scratch shortly. How so, Bill? Things are going to get tight. Get ready. Well, what do you mean by that? Just what I said. In the last depression, there were 12 million people eating out of trash cans in New York City every day. And I got news for you. We're out of here, they tell me. You be here next week, I will, right here in the Scizone on WKRP.TV. Join me. It's your show.